This is an exciting time for me. I'm gonna harvest this garlic. First time growing garlic, and now it's time to harvest. I planted this back in the winter, and now here we are in the middle of summer and it's ready to harvest. That is my first bulb of garlic ever that I've ever grown. That's pretty cool. I'm pretty excited about this. This bulb right here is a little bit bigger. And there we have it, 11 bulbs of garlic. So this is called Dugancy garlic, and it's a hardneck variety. I think I waited a little bit too long to get it out of the ground because it's you can see kind of all that brown stuff. I think maybe I should have left a little bit more life in the tops up here. I'm not sure, my first time growing it, but look how cool that is. So now I've got it up here curing. There's a few heads in the back there. And these two down here, I don't know if I wasn't being careful enough when I was digging with the shovel, but like I accidentally, I think, hit them. So I might try to slice those up and put them in my dehydrator and just make a little bit of garlic powder out of those. I've been waiting for my dad to get done on the tractor. My parents are down at the big garden today and they've been digging potatoes. And I said, that's just like digging for buried treasure. It's awesome. Just rolling these potatoes up out of the ground. We've never really grown them. Well, we've grown them in the big garden before, but we've never, I don't think, used a tractor to get them out like that. That's pretty cool. So when I filmed planting my garlic back in the fall, I filmed a devotional with that as well. And as I was filming harvesting this garlic, I thought, well, I'll use this in a video somewhere, somehow. But a couple days later, I thought, but wouldn't it be neat to also have a devotional? Almost kind of like the beginning and the end. And I thought, okay. And so I kind of prayed about it. And over the last couple days, I was thinking. And then one morning, I went to read my Bible. And I usually kind of have a study or something that I'm going through chronologically. I've been in the book of Job. And I was kind of praying and saying, God, you know, where would you have me read today? And John 15 just come to my heart. And I've been reading it over the last couple of days and thinking about it. And then I thought this would be a perfect addition, because John chapter 15 is about the true vine. And as we're harvesting, you know, vegetables and things that are coming in to the summer garden, just thought it kind of went perfect with that, talking about the true vine. And now that the last couple years I have been gardening, I suppose I would consider myself a gardener, this passage is even more vivid. And so there was just some things in it that I wanted to share. So this is John chapter 15. This is just starting in the first verse. I am the true vine and my Father is the husbandman. So even just that part, that, you know, Jesus is the true vine. He's, you know, a vine is life-giving and life-sustaining to a plant. And then God is the husbandman. I think other translations say God is the vine dresser. So starting here in verse 1, I am the true vine and my Father is the husbandman. Even just that verse right there, just the statement that Jesus is the true vine. He is the life-giving vine to the plants. And God is the husbandman. God is the gardener. Every branch in me that beareth not fruit, he taketh away, and every branch that beareth fruit, he purgeth it, that it may bring forth more fruit. What stuck out to me there is just the difference. Two types of branches. One that's just never going to bear fruit, so they just need to be cut off from the plant. If they're not going to bear fruit, the plant's having to sustain that, and it's spending its energy, and it just needs to be removed so the plant can keep growing and be healthier without it. Or a branch that is going to bring forth a lot of fruit. So let's trim that plant back, and that will encourage it to grow more, and you'll get a bigger yield of fruit. It made me think about pruning my tomatoes this year. So we like to grow them on cattle panels, kind of trim all the branches off up until they get to that cattle panel, and then kind of trim the suckers as they grow. But there's a lot of trimming involved, especially where we live, where it's hot. They need a lot of air if they're going to stay healthy. So those branches on the bottom, just getting rid of those. It's not going to help the plant overall. It's going to be healthier if we keep pruning it. It's going to bring forth more fruit, and we get rid of those branches that aren't going to do anything. But what stuck out to me is that God knows the difference. Of course he does. God's God. He knows everything. But he knows the difference in our life. What fruit is what branches are going to bring forth fruit and which ones are going to hinder us. And so sometimes in life, I think maybe if we're going through something that's difficult or tough, or maybe we're just not sure, and maybe you don't even have that kind of feeling in your life of, why am I kind of meeting this opposition, or what's going on? Even if you don't have that, God is pruning us all the time. Thank the Lord. That's a very good thing. And thinking about it that way, I think a good prayer would be, give us wisdom, God. Help us to know what branches in our life will bring forth fruit so we can nurture those ourselves, and which ones are not good so we can kind of aid in the process of you pruning those out. And then also from a aspect of trust, that he knows which branches are good, he knows which are bad. And we know God's ways are not our ways. And so sometimes in life, when it seems like, but this should work out, or I really want this, or God's direction is not in the direction that we want it to go, maybe he's just pruning a branch, because that's not going to be good for us. We might think that it would be, but it's not. And it's just like a tomato plant. Left to its own devices, it will just grow and grow and grow until it just flops out on the ground. And you can most definitely grow tomatoes like that, but a lot of them fall on the ground. They don't get a lot of air. You're going to have some fruit that goes bad. So, of course, the pruning is super helpful. Now ye are clean through the word which I have spoken unto you. So Jesus talking to the disciples, we're clean through the word. We're clean through Jesus, through the sacrifice. Now, of course, Jesus hadn't died on the cross just yet here. And then this part especially, where it talks about abiding. Abide in me, and I in you, as the branch cannot bear fruit of itself, except it abide in the vine. No more can ye, except ye abide in me. So if a branch is not attached to that main vine, even if that tomato plant has a ton of blossoms, if it gets severed from the vine, from the main stem, the main vine of the tomato plant, it's not going to do anything. It's over for that. It's never going to bear fruit. And so thinking about that for us, we can't get severed. If we get severed from God, we're not going to be fruitful. But then if we look back there, abide in me and I in you. So there's so much comfort there. It's not just us abiding in God, but he's abiding in us. And when I think about abide, it made me kind of think about just being in my house. Like, what does abide mean? Is there a lot of action there? Is it more like a restful type of thing, restful type of verb? And it made me think, if I'm in my house, even right now when I'm on my yard, like I'm abiding here, like I abide in my house, I dwell there, I live there. Even in my yard, like this whole area, I abide here, I'm a resident here, I reside here. Sometimes I'm working, sometimes I'm just resting, sometimes I'm filming, but I'm still abiding there, I'm still dwelling there. And so for us, even no matter what we do, if we're just kind of resting, if we're working, if we're out doing whatever God has us to do, we're just abiding in him, we're dwelling there. And the Bible makes it very clear, Jesus makes it clear when he's talking to the disciples, except it abide in the vine, no more can ye, except ye abide in me. So then when we go to the next verse, I am the vine, ye are the branches. He that abideth in me, and I in him, the same bringeth forth much fruit. For without me ye can do nothing. So if we don't abide in God, we can't do anything of ourselves. Our sufficiency doesn't come from us. It comes from God. That's a lesson that's been very hard for me to learn, unfortunately. But it's one that I'm especially learning now that I have a baby. I'm learning how to rely on God in ways that I never have before, which has really been a beautiful experience. In verse 6, if a man abide not in me, he is cast forth as a branch and is withered, and men gather them and cast them into the fire, and they're burned. So if we don't abide in God, we're not going to bring forth fruit, and we're just going to be like branches that we're just trimming off, that are just trimmed off the tree. And then what do you do with them? You either just throw them up on the bank to get rid of them, or some people burn them, and that's what it says here. In verse 7, if ye abide in me, and my words abide in you, ye shall ask what ye will, and it shall be done unto you. So going back to thinking about abiding in Jesus, abiding in God, how do we do that? And my words abide in you. Part of how we do that is we let the words of Jesus abide in us. And we do that by reading our Bible and meditating on that and thinking on that. But I love just the picture of just abiding, you know. And then that wisdom, again, that yields trust. God knows which branches are good and they're going to bring forth fruit, and then he knows which ones are bad. And it would be wise of us to say, hey, prune me, prune me, prune me. I don't want the bad stuff hanging around that's not going to yield fruit. Herein is my Father glorified, that ye bear much fruit, so shall ye be my disciples. So that glorifies God when we do bear fruit, when we're fruitful in our life. That's one of the biggest ways we can glorify God, which, you know, as Christians, that's one of the biggest things we want to do, is to glorify God, is to worship him, is to praise him. And it goes on. There's so much stuff, good stuff in the rest of this chapter. And it talks about, if ye keep my commandments, ye shall abide in my love, even as I have kept my Father's commandments and abide in his love. So that's another way that we abide in Jesus, is keeping the commandments. When we think about bearing fruit, I could not look at the fruits of the Spirit at the end of Galatians here in chapter 5. So God knows the difference in the branches, what's going to bear fruit, what's not going to bear fruit. But with the what we have here from Paul in Galatians, this chapter about being led by the Spirit, and then of course other passages, other things we have in the Bible, we can kind of be clued into what some of that fruit is, and how we can even make sure that we are being willing to be pruned of the bad branches, because we know what the good fruit consists of. But the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, long-suffering, gentleness, goodness, faith, meekness, temperance. Against such there is no law. And they that are Christ have crucified the flesh with the affections and lust. If we live in the Spirit, let us also walk in the Spirit. Let us not be desirous of vainglory, provoking one another, envying one another. And so all of those things, love, joy, peace, long-suffering, gentleness, goodness, faith, meekness, temperance. I think about all those things, and I'm like, is that fruit in my life? Is at least some of that fruit in my life? Would there be anything I could do to, you know, aid in the pruning process that Jesus is doing in my life? And they that are Christ have crucified the flesh with the affections and the lust. And so when we believe in Jesus, we have to crucify the flesh and get rid of the affections and the lust. It also says, I've got a reference Bible here, so it also says that can also be, affections and lust can also be known as passions. So anything, you know, that we're wanting to do that God doesn't want us to do. You know, I ask myself that, is there more work that I need to do to kind of crucify the flesh and, you know, make sure those things are out of the way so the good branches can grow and bring forth fruit. So that just really stuck out to me. God knows the difference. He knows what's going to bear fruit, and he knows what's not going to bear fruit. And he knows that even better than I do, I believe. I can read this and I can say, well, here's the fruits of the Spirit. Here's how I can produce good fruit, but he's going to be the one that gives me the strength to do that. That's something big that I feel like God has taught me recently. I just need to know what the right thing is to do. I don't have to have the strength within me to do it, because I don't really. Even if I say, well, here's all these things that I don't want to do. Here's all the stuff I do want to do to live for God. I don't have the strength in me. I can't get outside of my flesh to do that. All I have to do is just know what's right and say, God, help me do it. Every day, I want to look to you. I want to do what's right. I want to crucify my flesh and keep doing what you would have me to do and produce good fruit. So, see my dad cranking up the tractor again. So, I hope that this video will be a blessing. I'm so tickled with the garlic that I grew. I've just never grown it before. So, that's very exciting for me. I love gardening. It's such a blessing to be able to get to do that. It's so neat that, you know, our Creator created this natural world around us, and that we even get to participate in it by growing plants if we want to. So leave me a comment. Thank you for watching, and as always, God bless you, God keep you, and I'll see you on the next one.